Hey guys, and welcome back to the next video. He used his flamer on him, and the creature did not catch fire, but it's his turn. He saved his half action for whatever reason. Okay, so he's still standing in fire. He'll make his agility test. That is going to be a fail by 1. So he catches fire, or takes a d10 fire damage, right? No reduction from armor, so d10. Ooh, the Emperor be smileth upon you.
Yeah, it does. Also, he has to make a willpower test or run around on fire for his whole turn.
He also suffers 1 level of fatigue
like the worst thing
for each round he is on fire. Okay. So he takes 8 damage, ignored by armor, which means he takes 2 points of damage. He goes to, what is that, 21? Okay, so now, alright, so yeah, that 8 fire damage did a little bit of fire damage to him. So now he will make a challenging willpower test. Which he will fail. So at the beginning of each of his round, in order to take an action normally, otherwise he must run around and scream, which counts as full action. So he, so he's more perplexed now, or more focused on him being on fire rather than hunting his prey. He also suffers 1 fatigue each round, so suffers 1 fatigue for this round.
So where does he run to, Jose?
I can use a scatter chart if you want to. I'd imagine he'll probably run away from the fire, so I'd imagine him kind of running out to the right and probably using a half action, which would be like 6 meters, and then that'd be his turn.
Alright, and don't forget about my other cone of fire that's towards that way too.
I think yours was north up, right? So your fire should be more like, I think this now, right?
Yeah.
Because you kind of shot out like that.
Looks good to me.
Alright, so skips his turn essentially, and back to you, man.
I will quick draw my heavy bolter that's slung around my chest, of course, and full auto.
Okay. I would assume that since he's on fire, running around screaming like a little puss, he would not get his dodge bonus in this case. So lay at him if you can.
Is he considered helpless? Because I do think you get a bonus to hit helpless targets.
Not sure. Let me go back to, I actually just went away from fire, but I remember where it's at. It's actually at the end of combat. Let's see. So it hits the body location if wearing armor, blah 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 blah. Full action because he runs around fire. Character that is on fire may extinguish himself by making a hard -20 prone, which counts as a full action. Can make it easier or harder depending on the environmental conditions as he runs around and sets half the feral world on fire. No, it doesn't say anything about him being helpless.
Okay, no problem. Just asking.
Yep.
Alright then, let's full auto this bitch. I get the -10 because it's that's of terrain still, or?
I'd say he's probably close enough to where the terrain doesn't matter. Honestly, I'd say anything within 10 meters, the terrain probably really wouldn't matter. Between 20 and 75 is when you really incur the -10, and then beyond that would be more like -20. But it looks like you did pretty good for yourself.
Shredded him. Let's see here. Yeah, so that'll be plus 20. I have a 75, so that's going to be the full 6 hits, bro.
Okay. Roll them dice.
Does he not? Okay.
I don't think he can. Well, I mean, he spends his full turn. Well, I can see a roll dodge, see what he does.
Otherwise, I mean, this is going to be... Awesome.
I just don't think if you're running on fire screaming that you can dodge bullets. I don't see that happening, though.
That's why I was asking if he was helpless, because I mean, if you're in a
Right.
state of terror, like if you're snared, if you're sleeping, if you're caught in a trap of some kind, or you're just uncontrolled, running around, then I mean, obviously you're helpless, which doesn't allow you to take any actions, such as dodge and stuff like that.
The
Um,
description for fire makes him. The description for fire when he fails willpower essentially sounds like he is helpless because he uses his full action to run around. I, I would say
and the
the
helpless
one I
section
roll.
says it is totally GM discretion whenever anyone is
Yeah.
helpless.
I would say that being on fire, running around, and screaming is a helpless situation. So,
Okay.
but
I
I just
mean,
want to.
I fully realize this is going to bite us in the ass in the future when we face fire weapons, but
I wanted to see what he rolls. One's pretty good, but
holy shit.
I
You
would
would
have
have
dodged.
dodged everything, I think.
Yeah, he would have dodged everything. He would have dodged everything and then one more bullet.
Dude, damn, that's awesome. It's a 1 though. I mean, like you can't expect that shit to happen all the time. It's crazy good. He rolled a what, a 1 against me against with one of his flesh hooks, and then a 1 with damn.
Yeah, he also rolled 100 on his first one. Dude, I'm getting ones and 100s, dude.
Okay, well,
I need to go gambling.
you have the damage.
Oh, okay. I do have the damage. Okay, so pin 5.
I did. It looks like Righteous Fury on 2 of those. Don't know if that matters though at this point.
Uh, I
And I rolled 3 ones.
that's pretty bad. Um, okay.
This program's totally polarized, man.
Dude, no, it's not. It's fair. Don't diss map tools. Look what all they've done for us. They bring us together in ways we could never be together.
True that.
3, so 9, so on 6 bullets. Alright, so what's your total damage? Let's see.
Well, I mean, I don't know like what his protection value is, per se.
I have everything already calculated in for soak. Um, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I just confirmed both my Righteous Furies.
Yeah, okay, so I calculate, let's see. Dude, I suck at fucking calculations right now. Yeah, he's gonna be way overkilled. That's for sure. Um, yeah, he's dead. He's like, I think dude, he's actually sitting like crit 20 almost. He's fucked.
Wow.
Yeah, cause he's at 20. Well, you hit him. You've done 21 damage to him so far, and you just basically hit him for 47 after all the soak. So yeah, he's over 20 crit. He's obliterated, just like everything else you've encountered.
I'm gonna take his little lictor head skull with the tentacles, and I'm gonna mount it on my armor.
Oh no, dude, you're gonna freak the shit out of Shadris.
Why is that?
Cause he hit you. You haven't watched their little engagement yet.
Not yet, no.
He he got pulled off the roof, and then he got away from that one, and then he moved up into some cover, and then another one popped out and pulled him out of the cover and yanked him towards him, and then he got stuck in melee engagement with him. Dude, he's getting the raw end of the deal with these lictors, man. But he's rolling around with that heavy weapon, so you gotta close engage him. Alright.
Damn, he should have put that distance between him and the fucking creature.
Yep. Okay. So he's obliterated. From this, and with this encounter being done, you move another 250 meters closer. You're in your last 250 meter stretch, basically. And this one, since you're so close to the chapter house, you kind of killed off the real threat that Well, not the only threat around it, but one of the major threats. I'm not gonna roll a random encounter on this final 250. So, um, for all things considered, I'd say you've made it out of the situation safely, and you'll reach the chapter house after all the encounters that they will have to go through, and whatever happens during their stuff, you'll get there and discover it.
Man, oh holy shit! I mean, definitely survived a lot and killed a lot of threats on my own. I mean, not to be like a greedy bastard, but I gotta ask. I mean, did I receive any benefit of making it alive through this complication?
You'll probably get like a few extra renown points once you display your lictor head to the watch captain or whatnot, or to your battle brothers. It'll probably spread that you took one down all by yourself while you were ambushed by it. So, you probably get a few renown points out of it, if anything.
Awesome, dude. I'm happy with like 1 point of renown. You know, shit, this is awesome.
Yep.
I got lucky, and then yeah, we did well by bringing that hand flamer.
Yeah, I mean, you had like four encounters. I think you had to go through, and 2 of them you were able to dodge, which is pretty good. And the third one, you know, things could have gone a lot worse if you had lost the guy. So you did pretty good, all things considered.
Thank you, Hosen.
Yeah.
Your encounters are tough too. I mean, like, dude, that lictor. I mean, once they start getting into melee range and he maintains that grapple, if I can't break that, I'm fucked.
Yeah, they're pretty tough because they can throw out the flesh hook and move in, and then on their next turn you full out attack with them and they get a swift attack. But when they full out attack, they have furious assault, which gives them an extra attack on it whenever they full out attack. So they essentially lightning attack you with it, which is pretty brutal. And they're really okay, I'll cheat this a little bit. I'll let you know. I don't care. Not really spoilers. Enemy spoilers, I guess, kind of. In the Xenos book, in the Mark of the Xenos, they don't really have any rules for their kind of grapple thing, but I felt that the lictors were pretty fucking weak if they had to make a full round turn to grapple. So these lictors are pretty beefed up. A little bit more so than normal. They do have advantages over what normal DMs would deploy them with. So, kick the shit out of
that, man. I like it.
Kick the shit out of a lictor that was pretty beefed up.
What do you think about everything that happened so far?
I think everything's going pretty good. Just kind of looking at it as a GM point, or not. Well, as a GM point, kind of putting myself in the situation. You got out pretty good. I mean, the idea of crashing down right on the chapter house is probably one of the major reasons why the encounters were actually fairly minor, because the area you're traveling through is more the outstretched area, not rigorously patrolled by the forces that are really going on. Though there's still things that would happen. You did encounter a stealth suit. He could have done what you just did to this lictor with your 6 bullets, except he could have hit you for 10, which could have been really bad. And he probably would have point blanked you because you were so close. That would have been really fucking bad. The Pathfinder encounter could have been really bad too, because if they found you, you would have been sitting there with unpowered armor.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. Like, it was that was a total risk to take. But like, even normally, even if I were to go into that encounter, like with me getting the surprise round, even it would I could have taken down 2 of those guys, but I mean they would have picked me off, and it would have just been a super hard fight no matter what. So I figured I'd gamble it all.
Yeah, it was pretty risky doing it yourself, but with this outcome, you pretty much schooled it, and you really showed that when you are thrown in situations like this, you can get yourself out of it. But kind of looking back as a player, if I was like in Diz's shoes, I would not tolerate separation of the kill team, and I probably would have ordered down the speeder and would have come to find you regardless of what you said. because ultimately Diz is the leader of this. He needs to get this mission done, otherwise he's the one that gets ultimately blamed for provocations, things like that. So taking on, allowing him to I guess trust your character seems a little bit weird at this point, since he doesn't, his characters don't really know each other that well, and for the most part, again, he needs to get his mission done, and one of his kill team members is thrown out into the wild, and you're just like, well, I'm gonna make my way back, don't worry about me, and he's just like, okay, and then cut off communications.
So basically, it makes it look like to anyone from the outside that he abandoned me to die.
I wouldn't say he abandoned you. I mean, all the stuff's recorded, so people watching this see that you said, go on without me, I'll be okay. But
oh yeah, no, I mean, I know that's the case, but I'm talking about from the watch commander's point of view, where he's like, well, why did you listen to him? You're the leader, kind of point of view. You left him to die.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, if you roll around with your heavy bolter for whatever reason, you leave it behind, like that's a pretty big thing. But heavy bolters can be replaced. Veteran warriors like you guys are, it's harder to replace. So if one of you dies, it's a big deal, a really big deal. Even though kill teams lose members, I mean, they do suicidal missions and stuff, but when they lose one, it's still a really big deal. So to risk your life like that and just kind of leave you out there was a huge risk on their part. Though, looking back on it, going through this with either, it'd be interesting to see one of the other players like Diz or Shadris have to make this kind of, complication and see what he would do with it. But they're all what ifs.
No one else bought Stummers, dude. And
Yeah.
no one else had an Auspex.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because like in the last encounter, Shadris got flesh hooked around a little bit and got stuck in melee combat with one of the lictors and was completely unprepared for it. I mean, he stocks up on ammo, which is really good. He's flexing his strengths, which is Devastator, heavy bolter, long range combat kind of stuff, and he's really focused on that, which is good. But for diversity, he lacks in it. So he doesn't have the flamers, he doesn't have missile launchers, he doesn't have he can't adapt to situations really fast. So like I mean, even a really basic thing is he does have his claymore, but I think the problem with the claymore is it's primitive, which sucks.
Yeah,
Anything,
that's crap, dude.
Yeah, anything primitive, especially in Deathwatch, is pretty much useless. I think it's primitive. Actually, let me look. I don't know if it's primitive, but even if it's not, it still requires two hands, and with the kind of heavy bolter setup and stuff like that, it's it can be really risky pulling it out. No, it's okay. So it's not primitive, though. It's unbalanced, and it's like a combat knife, essentially, with an extra dice thrown into it. So 2d10 plus 3. But I mean, you could take more. You could take a more stable weapon like a chainsword, and while it has less damage potential, it does have tearing on it, which means you'll have a better chance of, you'll have more stable damage. Another thing, like if I
Better chance of righteous fury.
Yeah. The other thing, like I would do as a Devastator, is because one of the things that all Space Marines are immune to is photon flash. So what I'd do as a Devastator is actually carry some photon flashes around with me, and if people got on me, I'd just drop them at my feet and let them go off. So there's other things
Great
like that.
plan, dude.
But
those are cheap, like 5 rec.
Oh yeah. What's photon flash? I actually have the page right here, if I can find it. I can't find shit. Photon flash. Yeah, 5 rec for 3 of them. So, and you guys are each given 60 rec. I mean, you could have gotten like a shit ton of photon flash. That's what you guys should have bought. All photon flashes. Like
it was definitely a thought. I mean, we saw how well they did for us in the last mission. Like, we were able to just own that one, those two hordes and like the one tech priest. So we just made that into a cakewalk encounter.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. And what actually really won that encounter was busting open that door like right when you did, because I mean the thing is we got stuck in the metagame about you and Sorrow kind of going back and forth, and that kind of got metagamed out. So that's why I'm trying to focus more on just character interactions. So like if we had to play that out again, it couldn't be metagamed. It would have to be Cacillus talking to Sorrow about it, and that takes time. And what really did it is, since the metagame kind of pauses shit, and I was kind of going really I was going really lenient on the first mission, but one turn later, they would have juiced power back into that elevator and popped it open, cut power again basically, and they would have unloaded with two 30 magnitude hordes and a Texas system cannon, all on basically ready. But the photon flash going out basically broke all their readies and took out two of them. And rolling the 2 5s on it was pretty good too. But what really won
Really
it?
lucky, yeah.
Yeah, what really won it was just busting open the door and going in and basically taking action. Because there's a lot of things that.
Fuck you, Sorrow, I'm doing this.
No, but there's a lot of things where it just demands players to react really fast to it, but since it's like a tabletop, like, oh, I'll take my leisure time, I'll think about the situation, but it's like, you don't, sometimes you just don't have time to think about it like real life. You just have to kind of act on instinct, and that was kind of, you were time-wise, you're probably sitting down in that elevator for about 20 seconds or so before I was gonna actually pop it up on you. So 4 or 5 rounds, but basically pretty much immediately hit the bottom and you guys cracked it open. So
Sure enough.
Yep. But anyways, that was pretty
Cool, man.
pretty fun. So
Yeah, dude, taking on that Lictor, I was when you said you soaked all that fire damage, I was like, damn. I'm like, this is gonna be tough, I was just in my head calculating how I can adapt my servo arm strategy or what I was gonna do next just to create. I just needed enough fucking space just to get that full auto on him to seal the deal. And if I couldn't get that, then I would have had, just started probably using like my bolt pistol and my flamer to try to press the advantage or something, or my combat knife even. Fuck.
yeah.
Swipe at him with the combat knife and then flame him, make him move out of the way, and then just see what he does. But
Yeah.
can't let him get a full action melee on me. That's just gonna end up with a dead tech marine.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I could be, I'll probably do with like players and stuff, later, because you have leap up is the other really thing, but when you're engaged in grapples and stuff, you can be knocked prone with them. So I try to kind of envision like that happening with the Lictor. He kind of throws out multiple flesh hooks, twists them around, and your character just becomes unbalanced and goes prone with it. So while you're being pulled back,
Yeah.
I would have had him do like prone. So basically, he moves towards you, pulls you up, and you're prone, and then he just starts doing full attacks on you, noms on you. But
And then like full attacks from like prone gives you like a plus 20 to like everything.
yeah.
So he just like destroys you.
yeah, yep. But yeah, they're pretty cool. It's pretty cool because the Lictors too are a more intelligent creature. So like when they see, people rolling around with heavy weapons, then they know that's their target. That's who they have to ambush, and they'll stay away from players like Sorrow's character, who will openly engage him in melee and who is very, very strong. And just eyeing him up, you can tell that kind of stuff. And while Lictors are very strong themselves, go after the person who's weaker, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Because like sure, like he's really good and stuff, but they can put him on the defensive pretty easily. And honestly, like you did their best thing, I thought, going after the support guy.
yeah. Well, it's a little bit interesting. I'm interested in seeing how they really handle it, because Sorrow is their main melee character, and he's kind of pulled down. Like, actually, we can go. If you want to check out the thing down there. I don't know if you've looked at it. It's
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's over to the right. You can see Sorrow's engaged in melee with the one that's down there, and they have the one up, the one that's up top there, but he'll unprone, and I'm not too sure exactly what I'll do with him from that point. I might actually have him scale the wall or something and take off or do something, but the only guy who can face him in melee is separated a little bit, and with all the pillars in his way, he can't charge over to it. So, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of react to it. Because Diz took some shots at it with his bolt pistol, but he was doing like no damage to it because they're pretty tough. So, and
Yeah.
if he's just gonna keep bolt pistoling it, then that's not really gonna get him anywhere. And if Shadris is, stuck in melee, then the guy who can handle that lictor is, tied up essentially. But it'll be interesting. I'm actually really interested to see if Diz pulls out a tactic or something with this and tries to do something. That's actually what I'm really interested
Yeah,
in.
dude. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, this is really going to be a deadly situation for the group to be in. Dominic Sorrow can handle himself, obviously, just through pure brute strength. But, let's just say, like, they do the smart thing and, let's just say the situation over here where Shadris and Marcus kind of turns a little bit sour for this lictor since he's prone, and the both of them just run off and regroup, and then just tag team Shadris or Marcus again, and they just keep making these. I mean, they don't aim to kill, they just aim to wound, and they get that surprise attack, and then they run off, roll concealment, and then these guys don't have any like truly good skills besides. I want to say Dominic Sorrow has his augury array. That's maybe they have the advantage. So yeah, if they just seek to like run around and wound them like a bunch, then that would be the most aggravating thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The one that's prone they both suffered some wounds. The one that's prone has suffered 8, and the one that Sorrow's on has suffered 14. So they're pretty minor for the most part. Yeah, exactly what I'm gonna do with them, I'm not too sure. But there's a lot of situations they can get into because they're still the chapter house is actually pretty big. I'm not giving it its due justice by having it so small here. So when Sarah's talking about looking for stairs and stuff, that takes a while to comb this place. A good 20-30 minutes to go over the entire place. So if he's off searching and he's far away in the chapter house, maybe these guys are going to come pay him a visit to get out of this, or maybe new ones will show up.
Yeah, dude, I agree. We got to really stick together. I think that's the one thing we're really going to learn. Character's not going to take this for granted for sure, and he's going to be very thankful to be alive.
Yeah, praise the Emperor. He's looked over you this day.
Oh man, seriously. But my guy's pretty tough too. I was looking at him. With the flesh is weak now, I'm just
Flesh is weak.
looking pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, Flesh is weak is such an awesome talent. There's so many dungeon masters or like DMs too that just want to nerf it, and they want to take away the mind affecting. They want to take away all the bonuses they give you, and they're like, you should have Flesh of Week 3 or 4 before you actually get that stuff. And I feel that's really punishing on it. And it's because a lot of Tech Marines have that as basic stuff. They are immune to the mind affecting stuff, and that's kind of just how the lore goes. So to kind of take that away at the initial stage is essentially saying you're not really a Tech Marine, at least in my eyes. So those are really cool things to have.
That's just.
And they set you apart really from the other Space Marines when those situations pop up. So like if you get sucked out, you're good. Or like if inhalant stuff, you're good. Or if like the entire party gets dominated, or not dominated but compelled, and they all fail it, you'll be the one to resist it.
Not only that, like what you're saying, but that's just one avenue of mind control is just through psychic power. Think about like someone actually hacking my mind. That's possible. I'm suddenly like the only person in the party that can be hacked.
That's true. Yeah, it is a psychic avenue. You could be hacked. Who knows? Oh, there's one other thing we need to take care of actually that slipped my mind while we were in combat. Your little buddy that's following you.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna turn around and look at it, watch it.
Yeah, it's just a servo skull. It's monitoring you. And,
I'm gonna spit out a nasty hash of technolingua at it. What do you want? Who do you come from?
This is I serving. Or it says your response to it. Let's see, robot voice. Get into character. Okay, here I go. It says, I serve Inquisitor Haken. I am a scouting drone for him, surveying the areas, surveying the progress of his people, or of his IG that are under his order. I sensed crash landings of something of a bigger magnitude. I came to and checked it out and found you. Not too far away from it. I would ask you the same thing. What are you doing out here? Though I know it is not my place as a servo scholar.
Honored Skull. The information pertaining to our mission is classified. However, a Deathwatch kill team has landed here. We will attempt to aid the IG and the Inquisitor in any way we can, as long as it does not interfere with our primary objective.
I will relay the information back to Inquisitor Hawken. He will be most pleased to know that there are Space Marines on the planet. I wish you luck in your efforts.
I use my elect to interface. I of course ask it, may I interface with you, Servo School?
Certainly.
Can I actually, does he have a band of communication through Vox back to the Inquisitor, or he's just way far out for that?
He's transmitting things wirelessly, actually. He's snapping photos, other recordings and things like that, and actually sending them back to a data bank that's located in the compound. So essentially, interfacing up with him gives you access to the IG compound, if you wanted to make hacks against it, of course.
Turn all the turrets on them. Fire!
Hit the on button for the nuclear bomb they have under there.
I will chat with the Inquisitor if I can.
Okay. Alright, so I guess you sent some messages through saying that, trying to get a hold of the Inquisitor. You get sent through, I guess, some networks and whatnot. Moments later, you hear a voice coming over. He says, this is Inquisitor Hawken. You have reached my frequency. Who is this, may I ask?
This is Deathwatch Tech Marine Cacillus. I am currently at the chapter house. That is our primary objective. We will aid you as soon as possible with your predicament with the Tau and the Tyranid terrors. How is your situation in the IG compound?
The situation goes okay, though I was unaware that the Space Marines would be involved in this place. What brings you here?
That is redacted.
Oh, come on. Surely you can tell an Inquisitor. My curiosity, it kills me.
If you wish to discuss such matters, you may contact Watch Captain Rafin. And I give him a secondary beacon to contact the ship with.
Alright. Interesting. I am intrigued. Very well then. I shall continue my operations, as you shall continue yours, I guess. And perhaps we shall meet up.
We need locations.
Oh? Locations of what?
We need locations of the Tyranid threat. There is supposedly one Synapse creature responsible for organizing them. Have you been able to find a lead?
Interesting. One Synapse creature, you say? Do you by chance know what this is?
The Prime Warrior Brood.
Not yet encountered him. Interesting. Oh. And where are you getting your information from again? You say this Raffin guy.
Correct. What Ordo are you from, Harkin?
I am from the Ordo of Hereticus. I was passing by in the area when we discovered some energy signals on the planet. The exact location, unfortunately, it eluded our scanners. I've been on the planet searching for it, along with the IG that have been here for a few months. As while I am here, I hope to tip the balance of, struggle, I guess, against the Tyranids and the Tau.
We share common goals. We will group up with you after we've achieved our primary objective, or if there are complications that prevent us from doing such.
Understood. I hope to be meeting you guys fairly soon, so we can end this conflict on the planet. Drive off the Tau and their so-called greater good.
For the glory of the Emperor.
May the Emperor smile upon you.
Disconnect.
Alright. Disconnects with you.
Alright, well, I mean, at this point, is there anything left to do, or?
No, I mean, you'll trek the remainder of the way and you'll hit the chapter house, and then you'll meet up with the other ones if they survive their shit, or if they're still there, and who knows. So.
Dude, I'm gonna laugh my ass off if they burn fate points on this shit. Oh man, they're at a disadvantage while they're fighting in the open like this. You know, but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see it, so I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, I'm actually really puzzled why Shatterus was outside, because I know, I think I mentioned this earlier, but Sauron went outside for a scout for a second, so he didn't really, he couldn't really observe much, and then he went back in and started scouting the inside, and then Shatterus decided to kind of go up on the roof, and then I don't know why, and he got flesh checked because they have everything barricaded, so the other entrances are fairly far away from each other, and if barricades were being hit to be like knocked or torn down, I mean, even then they'd be getting like a -20 on perception for hearing, -30 if it's the very far back one, and that's if they are trying to tear it down. If they're just trying to move around their barricades, because they never really specify what barricades or how they're organizing it, so I assume just kind of basic standard stuff that's maybe, I don't know, Space Marine chest high, and that's what they have, or something like that they could fire over is kind of what I imagine, since they don't specify it. But I mean, Hormigaunt creatures or something, crawl right over it and they'll be right in, they'll never even know. Lictors, crawl right over it and won't know.
Sure enough, dude.
So, but yeah, I'm just kind of, it's interesting that they don't retreat kind of back into it and kind of use the choke point that they have there, at least to make their stand, because I mean, if they did that, the Lictors would pretty much just take off. It seems like they're going after kills right now and engaging themselves in combat so they don't have to deal with this later, but hive mind link, and if shit goes down, Lictors die, others know.
Yeah, I mean, in the instant they're in combat, I mean, with an enemy like the Tyranids, it's like the hive mind will know, and it's just we're on a time clock. How fast can the hive mind gather its biggest force to smash us if it considers us a threat? And yeah, I mean, like you said, you're right, but with Shatterus on the ground and being pulled off, they're gonna have to fight, and they're gonna have to fight at a huge disadvantage now. Yeah, like you said, the one disadvantage they had was the choke point and visibility. I mean, while out in the fucking forest, I mean, dude, that -10, and with them being able to hide and get like another bonus, to conceal. I mean, if you can't shoot, but you can't see, and if you do see, I mean, you're shooting them, they have like cover bonuses on top of their toughness. I mean, they're just gonna be super hard to take down. So it's gonna be a tough fight for them no matter what they do at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, part of the other kind of advantage too I see you guys having is night, because like kind of what happened in your conflict, if you do engage Tau, they'll kind of light up a little bit and they'll give their kind of positions away. Again, that's kind of how I envision it. I don't actually know like if that's how I light up, but whatever, that's how I envision it.
I mean, if I fired my gun, my muzzle flash would give it away unless I had like a silencer or something else.
Yeah. But I mean, when daytime comes,
stalker rounds.
Yep. But if daytime comes and they're still kind of hanging around the outside, then I'd imagine that's actually probably a better time for Tau to actually do long-range warfare, because if they fired from really far away, there wouldn't be that much light giving off from it. So that could also cause some complications if they are able to find this place or not. Though they
definitely the case.
Yeah, though they are probably, most likely aware of your presence, as they did fire a secret missile at you.
Yeah, they're aware of something. I mean, I would be a little bit intrigued if they knew exactly what. I would be also a little bit more surprised too if they weren't able to easily communicate as they were running away, as like I heard, the two towers that like, oh, they know the Space Marines have landed, and then boom, that unit gets killed. And so, I mean, now no matter what, they know we're here. It's just a matter of finding us.
And Pathfinders are pretty good at doing that. So.
Well, again, I think it's time to hole up in the building, and then once we're done, make a diversion of some kind, or do something, and then get the land speeder and go. You know,
Yep.
or maybe even not get the land speeder. The land speeder's a big fucking target to be killed by another missile or guided rail fire, and yeah, we'll have to examine that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting too, because, I mean, if you think about it, if NIDS kind of figure out where you guys are at, and Tau kind of figure out where you're at, I mean, this place could be a really hot conflict, and it'll either be try to kill everyone and hold it, try to, find the entrance going down and be forced down underneath it and kind of stuck there, or retreat out of it and try to do something different. So that'll be an interesting call. It'll be interesting to see what the group comes up with, and interesting to see how, what Diz kind of rules on it.
Yeah. I mean, right now, with him separating with Sorrow, Cacillus, because of his past, and also because Black Templars are just so outspoken and furious most of the time, he's not going to have a problem breaking rank with Marcus, which will create some trouble. And
Yeah.
like the first time that Sorrow has a psychic phenomena that harms, it's going to have to affect the party. If it just affects him, he'll be irritated. But if it really jeopardizes the group, we'll definitely see some Black Templar come out.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be hostile for no reason and basically be an ass to people. But yeah, I won't be afraid to basically be okay, if you want to continue to jeopardize this mission, I'm going to kill you here and now. You're being a traitor.
Yeah, with the Black Templar, you should. That's when I was doing face-to-face, we had a guy who was playing a librarian, and another guy was a Black Templar, and the librarian decided to open up a short-range telepathy with another person, and he could pull another person in as well with him, so he got 3 people total. And he decided to pull in the Black Templar because he was his leader, and the Black Templar threw a fucking fit in the short-range telepathy and just basically drowned it out with his screams because he was fucking pissed. And then he barged into, because he was kind of hanging out in their, I think they had a land speeder. They're hanging out back in their land speeder, and he was hanging out because he was actually making toxins in it because he was an apothecary. And then he just gets pissed because he gets pulled into it, and then goes outside the land speeder, goes into the warehouse that they're kind of going through, and just has a fucking shit fit. Just really funny to see.
That's stereotypical Black Templar, I guess. To a degree. They've got to have some tolerance for their powers. It just wouldn't make much sense. Unless I don't know. That's just how I'm thinking. It's not that extreme, I imagine there'd be a lot of anger and be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why aren't we communicating over technology? But not just
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my character's rational and logical first. He's a tech marine. And Black Templar second. So, yeah, he's not going to, kill people for using psychic powers or trying to, especially if they're a tool. But he will be pissed if the psychic phenomenon jeopardizes things and he thinks that, you know what, I can see kind of what you're doing, even though I don't understand what's going on, and I see you drawing a lot of power to yourself. That was really unnecessary.
Yeah. And the other thing is, too, is everyone, when they do Black Templars and they think about it, they focus so much on them hating the witch, and they kind of ignore that they also hate the mutant. They hate anything that's not normal. So, I always kind of imagine that they probably have varying degrees of hatred depending on how they went through their initiation processes. Maybe a lot of their training had really to do with, mutant stuff, and they were still exposed to the witch, and they're still told to hate it, but maybe not as much as, as the training they got against the mutant or something like that. So that's kind of how I always see it. And there's always exceptions to everything. And personally, I like how you're doing your character, because, again, a lot of people roll Dark Angels and then pick up Taciturn, and then they never say anything to the party, and it's essentially they're not really there. They're just doing combats, which is a huge part of the game, but that's, there's so much really to explore with character conversations and things like that, and figuring out like really who you're operating with. But if the person, that you're traveling with never wants to say anything, then that always screws it over. And that the situation can appear when you have Black Templars and Librarians who are constantly fighting with each other, and sometimes going so far as to what we're somewhat witnessing, dividing the group.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, above and beyond, I mean, like, that borderlines on being a traitor, I mean, as far as my character sees things, like, why are you going to hide things from me when my life could depend on, like, what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, but something I was going to say was, also, too, it's like, if they did hate them so much, why don't they start with the talent hatred? Of like Psyker, of Daemon, of Mutant. They don't. So it obviously isn't like this fanatical, crazy, shit-brained like hatred where it's like you just lose it over them and you get the +10 because you hate them so much. It's not to that extent. It's more of a, you should distrust them, you should dislike them, you should, you should destroy them because they are an enemy of the Empire and they are impure. But I mean, yeah, it's not. I don't know. You just don't lose self-control. You don't go into berserk rage for no reason. You don't lose who you are because of that, and that just doesn't make sense to me when people, role play those kind of characters.
Yeah, not until you get insanity points.
That's different. I mean, even then you got to get like a disorder, of some kind to really make the insanity points worth something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Until you get insanity points and get disorders is what I meant. Because like, yeah, I mean, like later when you get engaged in combat and there's like a psyker or something, he's like your first target, and it's like you have to make a willpower test or he becomes your focus, really, which is a little bit awkward. But I mean, yeah, I mean, all honesty, I think they didn't want to start you off with hatred of psychers, because if they did that, they'd have to give you hatred of mutants and hatred of everything else that's just not normal humans, really. Heretics, anything, heretics, mutants, and psychers, and they just don't want to hand you all those hatreds. If you look, I believe for your chapter specifics, you do get a lot of hatreds, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe you also get literacy.
You get some good stuff like Abhor the Witch.
Yeah, you get hatred heretics, you can get hatred mutants, and you can get hatred psychers, and you can get litany of hate, which spreads the hatreds onto the other players as well. So you can't get them. And that's pretty crazy. But I mean,
but you don't start with them. That's the whole thing we need to remember with a Black Templar, and that's what kind of irked me when Sarah was like, "Well, you're not really playing a Black Templar," and I'm like, "Well, I think I am. I think I read it,
You can make the same argument for Blood Angels, how they constantly lose themselves in battle to frenzies, but they don't start the game with frenzy. They can get frenzy in their chapter, and they can get battle rage and berserk charge and flesh render and I was going to say Inspire Frenzy, but I guess I don't get it. Oh, Mental Rage is pretty awesome, too. You can Frenzy and still use your psychic powers. But, I mean, they get all that stuff, but they don't start the game with it. They do have to spend experience points to pick it up.
Character development, not a new concept, but people do forget about it. They think they just start as this, like, ready-made cookie-cutter thing, and that shouldn't be the case. But, it's fine. I mean, honestly, we're all, this is, like, really like the first serious game, it sounds like, for everybody, so.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember that, this is Shadris's first game, and he's very new to the 40k, and he's doing pretty good, I think. And Diz is also really new to the 40k. And again, Diz has played some D&D stuff with us, and he's done some really good things in D&D. So I'm just kind of waiting for him to. He's still lacking, I feel, but he's kind of one of those players that, like, one day, he's lacking, he's not doing things, but then the next day it's like it all just clicks for him, and he just becomes like this. He'll become like this super marine in your party, So, I mean, it'll come. I know it'll come. So I'm just waiting for him to snap into his guy, really. And combat starts, and he's issuing out squad commands and all that kind of stuff, and rolling around with some pretty decent stuff. That was good stuff, dude. Yep. Alrighty. Well, I think we're all done here.
Alright, man. Well, I'm going to log off and do some other shit, but thanks for getting this out of the way. I had a blast, and it got me really in the swing of things of how I'm gonna be playing my character. And as you can see, dude, I have a fucking shit ton of weaponry on my guy.
Yeah, that's really good. It's good to roll around with the diverse stuff because I mean, like you see the situation that Shatters is in when he doesn't, he has this heavy bolter, he goes into melee and you know he's kind of fucked. Let's see, quick jaws to like something else, you know. But it's good to have a bunch of diverse stuff.
Definitely worked out. That's for sure. But anyways, man, I will talk to you later.
All right, I'll see you later, Mal. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for joining us.